The air in the hidden safe house was heavy. Dean, Dawn, and Maya stood around a large map. Red marks showed where Marcus's group had hit the witching hour. The lines led to one spot, an old temple hidden deep in the mountains. "This is where he is," Dawn said, tapping the map. "The dark energy feels strongest here." He sighed. "But getting there will be hard. Our hunters are spread thin. We barely stopped the Serenge," Maya added, "and that was just one of his weapons. We're not ready for him and all those zombie hunters." Dean remembered the power of the Serenge. It was like hitting a wall. His tattoos were still weak. He knew they couldn't just rush in. That would be suicide. The witching hour was broken. Many good hunters were gone or hurt. There was no big army coming to help them. They were alone. They were the last ones standing between Marcus and the world. "We need a plan," Dawn stated. "A good plan. We can't just throw ourselves at him." He thought for a moment. "I will try to rally what hunters we have left. They won't be enough for a direct fight," Dawn continued. "But they can create a distraction, a diversionary strike." He looked at Dean. "That will give us a chance." "A diversion is smart," Maya said. "It buys us time." She tapped her chin. "Time to get ready. Time to make sure we hit him hard." Dean knew his tattoos were still weak. They were dormant, like sleeping beasts. He couldn't fight Marcus like this. He needed more power. He needed his old strength back. He thought of a secret place, an old training ground. It was where he first got his tattoos, where he had performed the Forge of Souls ritual. It was dangerous, but it was his only choice. Dawn began to send messages. He used his special codes, reaching out to the few loyal hunters left. "This is Don de Leon," he spoke into the mic.
"We need you. It's time." "Dawn, this is Commander Dylan," a voice replied. "We heard the call. What's the plan?"
Dylan was one of the last respected commanders.
He was old, but still brave.
"Marcus is at the temple," Dawn explained. "We need you and your team to create a diversion. Hit them hard, draw their attention. We'll go for the ritual." "Consider it done," Dylan said. "We'll make enough noise to wake the dead, and then some. For the witching hour." His voice was firm. Maya walked through the hidden armory. Shelves were filled with strange metals, glowing powders, and ancient scrolls. She had a new task now. She had to make special weapons. She picked up silver dust, rare herbs from Eden, and small vials of glowing liquid. These were not normal bullets. These were meant to hurt magical beings, even mark them. She carefully mixed the powders. She chanted soft words as she poured the liquid into molds. Each bullet was a tiny magic-powered weapon designed for specific targets. Next, she began to draw symbols on small pieces of parchment. These were counter-charms. They would weaken the dark magic Marcus was using, especially the magic from the stolen Agimats. Maya worked quickly but carefully. Every charm had to be perfect. Every bullet had to be strong. Their lives, and the world's safety, depended on her work. Marcus was using the stolen Agimats for his dark ritual. Maya knew they held great power. Her charms needed to break that power, to make his ritual crumble. The air around her smelled of dried herbs, old paper, and a faint electrical sizzle. It was the scent of magic being born, shaped for battle. Maya held up a finished charm. It glowed faintly, a soft blue light. "Good," she whispered. "This will help." She started on the next one, faster now. She had done this many times before, preparing for hunts, fixing things that had gone wrong. But this felt different. This felt like the end, or a new beginning. These bullets and charms were their secret weapon. They would give Dean and Dawn the edge they needed against Marcus's dark magic. Dad Dean found the old place. It was a cave hidden deep in a jungle, covered by thick vines. This was where his family had trained for generations. This was where he first learned his power. He pulled up his sleeve, looking at the faded lines of his Agimat tattoos. They were usually vibrant, pulsing with life. Now, they were dull, like old scars. He needed them to be alive again. Dean was a strong fighter, fast and smart. But Marcus was too powerful. He had used old family magic, forbidden arts. Dean needed more than just his muscles and training. He needed magic. He remembered the old scrolls, the warnings about the Forge of Souls. It was a ritual that could make him stronger, but it could also break him. It was risky. Very risky. He cleared the dusty ground, arranging ancient stones in a circle. He lit small candles, their flames dancing in the cave's gloom. He drew symbols on the floor with glowing chalk. Dean stood in the center of the circle. He closed his eyes, remembering the words from the old scrolls. This was it. There was no going back now. He began to chant in an old language, words that felt heavy on his tongue. The air around him grew cold. The candles flickered wildly, though there was no wind. He felt a pull, like invisible hands reaching for him. This was the moment. He was opening himself to the spirits that gave him his Agimat power. A faint tingling started in his arms, then spread across his chest where the tattoos lay. It was a familiar feeling, but stronger this time. It felt like awakening something very old. Suddenly, a shadowy shape formed in front of him. It was a wolf, but made of smoke and darkness. Its eyes glowed red. This was the spirit of his wolf familiar testing him. Then a fiery bird appeared, circling above him. Its wings beat with silent flames. It was the Minokawa, his firebird familiar. It swooped low, its heat washing over him. From the ground, a viper made of dark green energy rose up. Its fangs dripped with unseen poison. It hissed, its gaze cold and sharp. This was the spirit of his viper tattoo. They circled him, their presence heavy. They were not evil, but they were ancient, wild powers. They wanted to know if he was worthy to wield them again. The smoky wolf lunged forward, snapping its jaws. Dean didn't flinch. He stood his ground, letting the ghostly jaws pass through him. He showed no fear. The Minokawa dived, its fiery body rushing past his face. The heat was intense, but Dean held firm. He breathed through it, not breaking his focus. The viper coiled around his legs, its phantom scales pressing against him. It felt like a heavy chain, trying to pull him down. Dean pushed against its invisible weight. As the spirits tested him, dark images flashed in Dean's mind. He saw moments he had failed, times he couldn't save someone. He saw his weakness, his doubts. The wolf growled louder, its eyes burning. The bird's flames seemed to grow hotter. The viper tightened its grip. They wanted him to give in to his fear, to his pain. A sharp, burning pain started in his chest, spreading through his body. It felt like his own magic was fighting against him, punishing him for his past mistakes. But then other images came. Dawn's face, Maya's courage, the faces of the innocent people he had saved. He remembered why he fought. Not for himself, but for them. A new strength rose in Dean. It was not just magic, but pure will. He would not break. He would not fail. Not again. Dean let out a grunt, pushing against the phantom viper. He stared down the wolf, his eyes burning with his own light. He stood taller, straighter. I am worthy, Dean roared. I will protect. I will fight. You will serve me. His voice echoed in the cave, filled with command. The wolf stopped growling. The fiery bird hovered. The viper slowly unwrapped from his legs. They felt his power, his true spirit shining through. Then, a powerful light burst from Dean's body, bright and pure. It pushed back the shadows, bathing the cave in a sacred glow. The spirit shimmered. The wolf, the bird, and the viper dissolved into motes of light. They flew towards Dean, not attacking, but joining him. They flowed into his skin, into his tattoos. His dormant tattoos exploded with color and light. The wolf on his arm pulsed with fierce life. The Minokawa on his shoulder glowed fiery red. The viper on his leg coiled with green power. Dean felt power surge through every part of him. It was more than he had ever felt before. It was powerful, almost too much to handle, but it was his. With a final deep breath, Dean's knees buckled. He fell to the ground, tired but successful. His body ached, but his spirit soared. Even as he lay there, exhausted, his tattoos glowed brightly. Each one was now a powerful familiar, ready to fight by his side, ready for what was coming. Miles away, at the Witching Hour's temporary base, Dawn and Maya gathered with Commander Dillon and the small group of loyal hunters. It was time to go. Dawn wore his combat gear, his psychic senses already reaching out, though weaker than before. He checked the clips in his revolver. He was ready, but he was also worried for Dean. Maya had her magic-powered revolvers at her hips. Pouches on her belt held the special bullets and counter charms she had made. She was not a frontline fighter, but she would play her part. All right, listen up. Commander Dillon's voice was sharp. We hit them hard and fast. Remember the goal. Diversion. We keep them busy. 10 seasoned hunters stood ready, their faces grim but determined. They knew the risks. They knew many of them might not come back, but they were loyal. Under the cloak of night, the small squad moved out. They were heading towards the ancient temple, a place now filled with dark magic. In the distance, a dark pillar of energy swirled above the temple, reaching into the sky. It was a sign of Marcus's ritual, growing stronger by the minute. Dawn looked at the swirling darkness. He couldn't feel it with his magic anymore, but he knew what it meant. The gate to hell was close to opening. Maya stared at the sky, her hands tightening on her revolvers. She whispered a quick prayer, a charm for protection. This was it. The final battle. Back in the cave, Dean slowly pushed himself up. He was still tired, his body sore, but his tattoos blazed. He had to move. He had to join them. He imagined his brother, Maya, and the others, facing down Marcus. He was their best chance. He couldn't let them go alone. The ritual had taken much from him, but it had given him what he needed. Power. Now he had to use it. The path to the temple was dangerous, but he had to take it. The dark energy swirled higher. The hunters moved closer. And Dean, now fully empowered, moved to join the fight. The final hour was about to begin.
Shadows creep where the old truths sleep. City lights blur what secrets stir. From a lagging streets to the city's heart, a row hunter's feats playing a dangerous part. 15 years since the cleansing scar. Now the veil's thin, not far, not far. Monsters crawl beyond the wall. He's hunting them down, gonna make them fall.